reason I actually, well, you start down a path sometimes and you just have no idea where it's going to take you. And that's what happened. When I went to Chile, it's one of those things that, you know, you just wanted to and you wanted to, and who knows why. And that's the way God works. But part of the reason I could is because Louisa was still there, you know. And she hung on, you know, when nobody else was still there. And that gave me reason and a place to go. So that was great. And heaven knows I learned a lot from her. But mostly and then when I first went there, now we're talking 42 years ago, or something like that. Well, yeah, it's a long time. When I first went there, we did parish ministry, and we got to know everybody in the area where we lived. I mean, we visited houses, and you know, it's a low-income housing project type of area. And you walked everywhere you went, and everybody walked, so you saw people a lot. And we visited people, and I got to know a lot of people, and we worked in that. She in catechetics, mostly I was in youth ministry. In 93, I went back to the place I started, which is the same little parish in Chian, okay? But the advantage of going back was I already knew everybody, you know, and that was wonderful. And years had passed, the situation had changed. I left during dictatorship. When I came back, it wasn't. And a lot of things were happening to help people get into the workforce, you know, and get into business, know how to take care of living in a normal situation, okay? So these women that I knew the best, which is turned out to be the founding group of Casa Ursulina, our women's center. We just got together. It's sort of like what Angela did. You get a group of really good women together that care about other people, and you focus in on what's the need, what you can do about it, how you can help, you know. So we started doing that. We started visiting people. We were all, always had been, before and then, crafters in some way or the other, and we all would do crochet and all that kind of stuff, you know. And we decided that, well, okay, now that the government is doing all of this stuff to help people get into it, why don't we get a little bit together, make some stuff, and go to one of the craft fairs that they set up and give you a place and help you to get into it and everything. We did that. The first one went great. I mean, we sold everything. It was really great, you know. So we said, well, if it works for us, it'll work for other people. So that group of women, we started forming other groups of women in the same area, the same neighborhood, okay? And we ended up with 15 different groups in houses around the area, which put us in contact with a whole lot of more women and get to know what they wanted, what they needed, you know, and help them get into this stuff. And they got them all into, taught them how to do crochet. They got their stuff in the craft fair. They could make a little money to get things better and get to know each other. Okay? So it sort of kind of kept growing from there. And sometimes something happens in some other part of the world that you have absolutely no control over, and it affects your life. Like, for instance, China started importing, or Chile started importing stuff from China, and along with that stuff was a lot of crocheted stuff, you know, and really cheap, like cheaper than the yarn that we were using. You know, you can't compete with that. So we had to let that go, and we got into another area of crafts that was becoming popular, which was those country crafts, you know, the dolls and the little things made of dry flowers and all that kind of stuff. It was very popular. And so we started doing that. Women liked it, but it got complicated because a crochet hook and yarn is really easy to carry from one house to the next. But the other required glue sticks, it required a lot of flowers, it required material, it required sewing machines, the whole works. And we ended up doing it in my house. My house was really small, you know. I mean, we even used my bed and everything for the work on, the whole thing. So that was like writing on the wall. We've got to change and find a better place to do this. And that's when the idea kind of came up that we need a women's center. And we started talking about it, presented to the community. The community responded wonderfully, did the work they needed to do, and did get the money together. And we were able to buy And that's how Casa Ursulina started. It'll be 22 years this year. And the space we have now is wonderful. It's, we've got 3 very adequate spaces that can serve as, it's not, I say classroom, but it's not classes, it's workshops, okay? It's like there are tables and there's sewing machines and there's looms and spinning wheels. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. They're workshops. You know? But we've got 3 very good spaces for that. Pretty good space on the outside, a greenhouse on one side. The other side has a patio. When the weather's good, you can use that outside. And when we follow the school year with our classes, okay, our workshops. We start, and that's from the beginning of March until about mid-December, usually by 15th of December. That would be like the school year. And then now with summer break. And the reason we decided to do that is because most of our women have their children that they have to, make their schedules fit with their kids' schedules and all that, so it worked best to do it that way. And this past March, when we signed people up, we signed up about 240 people.
Wow.
Which, I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my God, what are we gonna do with all these people? But it works out, it works out. Because we have about 15 different workshops, we can offer 3 at a time. We've had along the way to change things. And that's another thing that they've noticed, as we go on, you really have to notice what the needs are and change accordingly, or respond to the needs as they come along. And that's the wonderful thing about working with a group of women that are very attentive to that. All of us live in the area, everybody knows what's going on, and just very attentive to what the needs are. When we started, a huge need was taking care of pregnant teenagers. It was back in a time when young girls that got pregnant could not continue going to school. So there they were at home with nothing to do, and nobody was, really helping them to get ready for this event or even to live the pregnancy the best way possible. So we started groups for pregnant teens. We would have groups of 40, I think 45 was the biggest group we ever had. But when they came to us, they would stay the year that they were pregnant, and, we would help them get ready for the birth, to help them know what's coming. We even had, we worked in conjunction, and we've done that ever since we started, working in conjunction with Public Health Service, and the midwives and the nurses would come to the house and teach the girls, how to get ready for the birth, and do the exercises, all those things they needed to do to have a healthy pregnancy. And then also we teach them how to take care of a newborn, and afterwards they could stay on the following year if they wanted to. Well, actually they could stay as long as they wanted to, but the second year we would teach them how to make clothes for the babies, and then of course they learned how to make clothes for themselves too, and stuff. So that was a big need. At Casa Ursulina, we teach it, and we help people do it. We put them together, and we teach them how to do it, and then in the group itself, they help each other out. Like, for instance, I'm the one that teaches weaving, okay? So there's a part of that they've got to learn the theory, how to use the machines and everything, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty of doing it with your yarn and everything, the ones who've been there know, help the ones that are there now. Because that's how we operate. We operate with volunteers. All of our teachers are volunteers. And we have a group of about 30 women who are volunteers in a lot of different things. They take care of, helping the women who need it in the groups. They take care of an ongoing bazaar we have, which is people clean their closets out and bring us their clothes. And we have them there in the front room all the time, and people can come and buy whatever they want at our Casa Ursulina boutique for 20 cents, and so the need has changed. We have a lot more focus now on senior citizens that are alone and lonely. Not that they really live totally alone, but they're alone all day, like everybody else in the house is gone and they're alone all day. And also a lot of people who are bedfast in our area because it's a very poor area and it takes money to get in nursing homes, so obviously they're not in nursing homes. There are 2 nursing homes in the diocese that 2 different groups of sisters run. And those you can get into without money, but the waiting list is enormous, so you still have a ton of people that need to be in but not likely to get in. So we started with that outreach to those people who are in their homes and can't get to us. So we go to them. There's a volunteer group also of visitors that, go and see them, just so it's nice to visit them. But it's also really important to help the person taking care of them, because often a family member has to quit their job to be with the bedfast person, which means that family member is not working, okay? And it's a stressful job to be there taking care of somebody 24/7, and lots of times they don't have breaks, they can't do the things they need to do. So there's this group of volunteers that also, they'll go and stay at one person's house. Okay, I'll stay with your mother, you go do the things you need to do, or just take off and go somewhere, walk through the park or something, just have a break. And then we also keep up on what their physical needs are. Like sometimes they don't have enough food, or they don't have enough money to pay water. I mean, there's all kinds of problems that are around sickness and poverty, that we help as much as we can. And if there's one thing that's the underlying word and spirit of Casa Ursulina, it's solidarity. Solidarity. That's our big underlying word. And we start off right at the beginning telling the women, if you're here, don't waste good chances. Don't waste good chances to focus on other people's needs, and we'll all together do what we can to help. And so, and they do it. I mean, not everybody does. Some are really good at it. Some of them it comes naturally, and others it's a little harder to get into that. But they've got good examples for sure, and they have continuous opportunities, because for instance, when we know of somebody, look, this person is sick, they don't have enough bedclothes, they don't have this, next day we've got it. They'll ask somebody for it, they'll bring stuff that they might have, they're not using or whatever, they'll come with it. We have a whole group of mostly senior citizens. There's about 35 of them in the group, and they come together every Monday, and they take all of those, or what's usable, of the clothes that come, to us. There's some things that just don't be nice, okay? So they cut them up in squares about that big, and they make comforters, The things we teach, when we started out, the idea was to teach people things that would help them not have really a salary, but help them supplement a not good salary and the income in their family. Just to be able to do stuff they could do at home without having to leave their kids and make some money, because that was a great need, and it's still a need. But there's other great needs, like in the past few years, depression is a major issue among people who have that emptiness syndrome, who have been in a bad situation and now they're old and they don't see how to have anything that lightens up their day, And so they come to the place and they get in with a group of women, and that group of women works its magic, and nobody plans it, it just happens. They talk with each other, they laugh together, they do things together, and the person goes away feeling better. Even though they might only come 1 day or 2 days a week. It's great therapy.